Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel of English through Classics. Today, I'm going to introduce The Catcher in the Rye, a famous novel written by the American author J.D. Salinger. The book was first published in 1951, and it's one of the most well-known works of American literature. The novel tells the story of a teenage boy named Holden Caulfield, who struggles with growing up and finding his place in the world. The novel is written in the first person, meaning that Holden is telling the story himself, so we see everything from his point of view. Now, let's dive into the story and some of its important moments. The story begins with Holden Caulfield at Pensy Prep, a private school. Holden is a 16-year-old boy who has been kicked out of several schools, and now he's about to be expelled from Pensy because of his poor grades. He doesn't fit in with the other students, and he feels like everyone around him is fake, or what he calls phony. Holden has a lot of problems, and he doesn't really know how to deal with them. He decides to leave Pensy a few days before the school break and head to New York City on his own, without telling his parents. This is the start of Holden's journey, where he tries to figure out who he is and what he wants from life. Holden arrives in New York City and stays in different hotels. He tries to connect with people, but things don't go well. He calls up old friends, tries to meet new people, and even hires a prostitute just to talk, but he feels more lonely and confused than ever. He wants to find someone who understands him, but he struggles to open up. During his time in New York, Holden thinks a lot about his younger brother Ali, who died of leukemia a few years before. Ali's death still affects Holden deeply, and it's clear that this loss plays a big role in Holden's anger and sadness. One of the most important parts of the book is Holden's relationship with his little sister, Phoebe. Holden loves Phoebe, and she's one of the few people he feels truly connected to. After wandering around New York City, Holden sneaks into his parents' apartment to see her. When Holden tells Phoebe that he's planning to leave and run away, she gets upset. She asks him what he wants to do with his life, and Holden responds with a powerful idea. He says he wants to be the catcher in the rye. He imagines standing in a field of rye, where children are playing near the edge of a cliff. Holden wants to protect them from falling off, symbolizing his desire to save kids from losing their innocence and facing the harsh realities of the adult world. As the story goes on, Holden becomes more and more depressed. He tries to visit an old teacher, Mr. Antolini, hoping for advice, but he leaves when he feels uncomfortable with the situation. By the end of the novel, Holden is physically and emotionally exhausted. Holden takes Phoebe to the zoo, and they spend time together on the carousel. Watching Phoebe ride the carousel, Holden feels a moment of peace. He realizes that he can't stop kids from growing up, but he can still appreciate the small moments of happiness in life. The novel ends with Holden in a mental institution, where he's recovering from a breakdown. He doesn't give many details about what happens next, but he seems more hopeful, saying that he plans to go home and go back to school. The Catcher in the Rye is a story about growing up, dealing with loss, and finding meaning in life. Through Holden's eyes, we see how hard it can be to figure out who we are and how we fit into the world. Holden feels disconnected from the people around him and struggles with the idea of becoming an adult, which he sees as phony and dishonest. At the same time, the novel shows that life has moments of beauty and connection, especially in Holden's relationship with his sister Phoebe. His dream of being the catcher in the rye shows his wish to protect innocence, but by the end, he starts to understand that growing up is a part of life. The novel speaks to many readers, especially teenagers, because it captures the confusion and emotions that come with growing up. It reminds us that it's okay to feel lost sometimes, and that it's important to hold on to the things and people we care about. Thanks for watching. See you next time.